Chapter 21. The better you eat, the heavier you suffer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang, and locked the door. Hart silently read Sprite. Duong. Without the slightest warning, Qin Luo's intuitive right hand sank, and a bottle of Sprite appeared out of thin air in Qin Luo's hand. "FLUOK, Sprite." Qin Luo carefully examined the Sprite in his hand. Well, except for the name, there was nothing unusual. Pfft. Unwilling to give up, Qin Luo unscrewed the cap of the bottle, raised his head and took a big mouthful, letting out a long sigh of relief. In addition to being delicious, it's really just a bottle of Sprite, and it doesn't have any other effect. Throw it into the garbage bucket at will, and the recycling station is his best place to belong. Wash your face. Qin Luo decided to fight the big turntable again. Facing this last chance to draw the lottery, Qin Luo was especially cautious, took a deep breath, and washed his hands carefully. Life needs a sense of ceremony, and lottery draws need a sense of ceremony. Qin Luo said, "Start." That the turntable is still spinning, and the speed is still very fast, and the system's cheating prompt follows. This time Qin Luo decided not to cheat. It's a piece of shit anyway. An upright scholar is a good scholar, and you will get 300 points. If possible, Qin Luo really wanted to smash this broken system before. Stop. The pointer stopped, and Qin Luo's heartbeat also stopped. Congratulations for winning the prize and getting a picture. Make a picture. Qin Luo's heart is beating fast, and after a sense of ritual, it's different. There's even a 5% chance of hitting it. Take the drawing and take out the system space, and a simple scroll appears in Qin Luo's hand. Lay by makes a picture. Qin Luo was stunned. WTF. What does this mean? The system lets me buy drinks? Shaking his head, Qin Luo crushed the blueprint. The golden light shone, and a lay by formula appeared in his mind. Lay by, effect, delicious. It's really just plain delicious. Holding his mouth shut, Qin Luo pushed open the door and walked out of the toilet. After spending so long in the toilet, if you don't go out, you'll actually fall into the toilet. After swept away the shared bicycle, Qin Luo ran fast. When he got home, there was no more or less, exactly 9:30, somehow, Qin Luo's small restaurant was not open today. What's the situation? Qin Luo looked confused. I am back. My son is back. Come and eat. Mother Fu Xiaowan's kind words came from the kitchen. Why did you close the stall so quickly today? Qin Luo asked suspiciously. Qin Luo's family runs a small restaurant. According to their family's habit, the stall is closed at 11 o'clock, but it's not even 10 o'clock today, and the stall is closed. With intuition, Qin Luo felt that something was wrong. But it shouldn't be a bad thing. I heard that you are in the library all day now. Mother Fu Xiaowan said with a smile. Mom, how did you know? Humph, your mom and I have eyeliner at school. Your dad went to the supermarket to buy food. We'll have a good meal later. Cough, it doesn't really need to be like this. It doesn't matter. Anyway, in 3 days, there will be a thorough examination. The more you eat now, the worse you will suffer. A bright smile flashed in Fu Xiaowan's beautiful eyes. Hee, I knew it would be like this. Qin Luo's old face darkened. He walked upstairs, and a word came from a distance. Goodbye. Chapter 22. Others gamble, we gamble. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the early morning, when the first ray of sunlight fell on Qin Luo's face through the screen window, Qin Luo opened his eyes. Today is an important day, and it is a good time for Qin Luo to gain massive academic hegemony. It's time for the citywide math test. Going downstairs, he picked up a piece of bread and put it in his mouth. Qin Luo left the room in a hurry. My son is leaving after breakfast. Mom, I'm going to take the exam. Wait for my good news. From a distance, Qin Luo's voice came. Don't come back with a 0 in the test. Qin Luo stumbled under his feet and almost fell to the ground. With the Shuaba system, is he a 0 scorer? When I came to the classroom, it was full of people at this moment. They were either holding textbooks or taking notes to watch carefully. today is the day to get to the bottom of mathematics, which determines their status in the class to a certain extent. Qin Luo is here. Huang Zitao's eyes lit up, and there was a touch of disdain on the corner of his mouth, who was concerned about waiting at the door of Class 7 of Senior 3, Huang Zitao said, I will definitely not lose to you this time. Well, come on. Qin Luo nodded lightly, found what he was doing, sat down, and began to close his eyes and rest. As a scholar, it is simply a waste of the scholar's time. You, hum. Being ignored by Qin Luo again, Huang Zitao was furious. He said coldly, remember our bet. Having said that, Huang Zitao raised his head and left with arrogance. Qin Luo. It's just a person with shit luck, is he comparable to himself? Humph, this time, I want you to know what cruelty is, Huang Zitao sneered in his heart. Exam. Li Wei said coldly, holding the test paper in your hand. Coco, it's so annoying. Mr. Li, do you want to be so cruel, with a small test in 3 days and a big test in 5 days? Although everyone knew that today was going to be an exam, they couldn't help but complain. Hearing the student's words, Li Wei nodded uncharacteristically, yes. A single sentence made the classroom fall into silence in an instant. They never expected that Li Wei would say such a thing. Even Qin Luo looked at him, thinking, Li Wei, this guy is not stimulated by himself, why did he change sex all of a sudden? But Li Wei's next words left people speechless. If your father is a boss, you can change the test time at will. If not, give me the test. Li Wei squinted his eyes and said coldly. If someone's father was a boss, he wouldn't be sitting here. Then the next Chinese class? Someone among the students asked curiously. I played mahjong last night, and teacher Zhang lost the next class to me in the Chinese class, so the next class is still math. Li Wei paused and continued to ask, are there any questions? If not, start the test. As he spoke, Li Wei had already begun to distribute the time under the dazed eyes of many students. Damn it, is there such an operation? Others play poker for money, and the teacher plays poker for lessons. Mr. Zhang, you said that you are a Chinese teacher, why are you playing cards with a math teacher? This is not sending money, oh no, is it sending a class? In an instant, the classroom exploded. They had heard of gambling for money, and even gambling for life, but they had never heard of gambling in class. He was beaten by the Chinese teacher and the math teacher. Chapter 23 Genius is Cheating. You are listening at novelfull.audio. However, Li Wei didn't care about the complaints of the students at all. Within a few minutes, all the test papers had been distributed to the students. Qin Luo didn't say anything. He must have been the most complaining one in the past, but at this moment he was extremely happy, even a little excited. He had been looking forward to the maths test for a long time. Ting opened the test paper, spread out the scratch paper, the gel pen was in his hand, and Qin Luo was ready for battle. Rustling, the classroom was quiet, except for the scratching of pens and paper. Li Wei stood on the podium, glanced around condescendingly, and stood behind a certain student for a few minutes from time to time, vigilant like an electronic dog. I heard that the test questions were jointly produced by famous teachers from major colleges and universities in the city, and some of the questions were even more difficult than the college entrance examination questions, so Qin Luo did it very seriously. The first category is multiple choice questions. There is only one correct option. Just follow the routine. In Qin Luo's opinion, this is a question that gives points. The second category is fill-in-the-blank questions, giving points. The third question is a calculation question, whether to find the value of the trigonometric function or to send points. The fourth question is very interesting. It is known that the vertex of the angle alpha coincides with the origin of the rectangular coordinate system. The start edge is on the positive semi-axis of the x-axis, and the end edge passes through the point P, -1, 2, find sin, 2 alpha plus pi, value of m, slightly difficult, but still give points. Qin Luo sneaked a few glances to the side, while the buddy next door was biting the cap with a frown. Looking back, someone made a dice out of scratch paper and used a metaphysical problem-solving method. Steal the teacher, steal the teacher. Metaphysics problem-solving method, but Qin Luo's patent. Seemingly aware of Qin Luo's gaze, he opened his mouth to lighting. Although he didn't make a sound, Qin Luo could guess what she was saying from the movement of his lips. Buddy, why don't you try it too? Try. I try your head. Does this scholar need metaphysics to solve problems? At this time, there was finally a movement in the classroom. The number 1 seed in the 7th grade of high school, Huang Zhen, stood up, walked to the podium, threw the papers, and went out in a dashing manner. Sure enough, I wasn't the only one who thought the test questions were easy. Thinking of this, Qin Luo didn't hesitate, got up and handed in the papers, and left gracefully, in one go. Looking at Qin Luo, who got up and turned in the papers, Li Wei, who was sitting on the podium, raised his eyelids. Is it handed in? Kindness. Aren't you checking? No need. Qin Luo shook his head and left gracefully. Yo still squeaked. Li Wei smiled, picked up the test paper and carefully reviewed it. The first question is correct, the second question is correct, the third question is still correct. The more he looked down, the more shocked Li Wei became. When he was in the library, he already had a general understanding of Qin Luo's strength. This time, he was full of expectations for Qin Luo. With a score of 120, he would give Qin Luo the mark. Over time, with Qin Luo's talent, he believed that Qin Luo would soon be able to catch up, but now, Qin Luo gave him a big fright. There are 5 big questions in total, and Qin Luo is astonishingly wrong. All right. The full score is 150 points. Not a single point of deduction. For a time, Li Wei felt speechless. Just a few days ago, Qin Luo was a complete crane tail, but in just 2 days, Qin Luo has grown into a scholar. Genius is cheating. Li Wei thought angrily. Chapter 24. Being a scholar is also a tiring job. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After coming out of the examination room, Qin Luo slowly walked towards the library. If time is not used to score points, then time will be meaningless. Qin Luo. But Qin Luo was stopped as soon as he reached the stairs. Huang Zitao has been waiting for a long time. Humph, Qin Luo, don't blame me for not reminding you. If you admit defeat now, it's too late. Huang Zitao looked at Qin Luo with contempt, with an arrogant smile on the corner of his mouth. This time, I'm sure that I will score more than 145. Qin Luo smiled indifferently and said, then you have already lost. What did you say? Huang Zitao suddenly became angry. I'm sure I can get 150 points in the test. Impossible. How can you possibly get a perfect score? Because I'm a scholar. Qin Luo replied lightly, turning his head and leaving. Humph, Qin Luo, let's wait and see. Huang Zitao stomped his feet unwillingly, looking at Qin Luo's back. The resentment of the scumbags is the driving force for the academic bully to move forward, and the academic bully value plus 10. It's 10 points of Shuaba value to be credited again. So happy. Apart from class, Qin Luo spent the whole day in the library. Of course, the rewards are also huge. Qin Luo's Shuaba points have also risen, breaking the 500-point mark again. However, it was still far from the 10,000 points needed to upgrade. Qin Luo spends a day reading the book, and he gains 200 points and 10,000 points. He needs to study hard for 500 days, more than a year. This is still in perfect condition. If there is a temporary problem, it will be less than 200 points. Alas, being a scholar is also a tiring job. With a faint sigh, Qin Luo opened Euler's analysis, politics class, a course that everyone likes very much. The reason is very simple. In this class you can sleep as much as you want. However, just as everyone was rubbing their eyes and exercising before going to bed, Li Wei walked in with the lesson plan in his hand. Needless to say, Teacher Lin in the political class must have lost the game of cards. As for the political teacher, everyone is completely speechless. You can't find other teachers to play cards, but you want to find a math teacher. Are the lessons of the language teacher not enough? Isn't this a clear way to send money? Oh no, to send classes. All the math teachers of Beishan No. 4 Middle School completed the correction of the test papers. In the early morning of the next day, 47 students in class 3 and 7 of senior high school each had a report card. Yesterday, the city's mathematics results have come down. Li Wei said with a cold face, I am very disappointed with the results. What on earth are you trying to do? Do you still want to be in the top doubles? Tell me the answer. Duang. Li Wei held the lesson plan and slapped the podium heavily, thanks to the good quality of the podium. Otherwise, if I meet a teacher like Li Wei, I am afraid it will rot long ago. Think. The students under the stage roared in unison. Think. Thinking of you is good for this result. It is undeniable that this exam is indeed difficult, but there are only 7 students who scored 120 points. Li Wei said with a livid face. But this time, there was one person who went upstream, Qin Luo. While speaking, his eyes turned to Qin Luo. Here. Qin Luo was shocked and quickly responded. I've been teaching for 20 years, and I've seen a lot of geniuses, and I've seen more stupid people, but it's the first time I've seen someone who can switch back and forth between geniuses and stupid people. The shot on the podium, 3 days, from a complete crane tail, to now with a full score in the exam, you have done it. Chapter 25. Come on and read, I'll wait for you at the end. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The bright red numbers are irritating everyone's eyes all the time. Full marks. 150. Qin Luo. Li Wei's words instantly caused a storm in the classroom. If it is said that Huang Zhen has a perfect score in the test, it is still understandable, but Qin Luo, he was still a crane 3 days ago, what made him get full marks in just 3 days? Everyone is compulsory education, why are you so good, or do you make up classes outside? Huang Zhenwei's eyes slowly opened, and an incredible light flashed in his pupils. He never imagined that Qin Luo would actually do such a thing. 150 points, a score that even he can't reach. Student Qin, Shibi will be impressed for 3 days. If you have any learning methods, you might as well tell everyone. Huang Zhen said with a smile. In 3 days, Qin Luo aroused his curiosity from a waste material to a genius. You need a plug-in. But Qin Luo couldn't say such a thing. Of course, even if he did, others wouldn't believe it. Is there a hack in my head? Who would believe this kind of thing? Qin Luo stood up slowly, walked to the window with his hands behind his back, looked at the tall building not far away, and said leisurely, come on and read, I'll be waiting for you at the finish line. At this moment, 47 people in the class, and 46 resentful eyes focused on Qin Luo. If you can get full marks in the exam by reading, then why do you need a teacher? They can't wait to sew up Qin Luo's mouth. Too embarrassing. Zhou Lang watched everything that happened around him, and he became more and more lost. The original salted fish brother, he was the only one left, and Qin Luo had completely gotten rid of the title of salted fish. Thinking of this, his heart throbbed, as if he had lost something. After a brief ruckus, the class was back on track. Li Wei analyzes the test paper word by word, analyzing every trap in the test questions. Qin Luo became the first in the class and the first in the grade with a perfect score. I will be Ling Juding, and I will see all the mountains and small mountains. Congratulations to the host for winning the first place in the whole grade, and the score of the master plus 1,000 points. Point 1, 2, 3, 3 zeros. After a day of hard work, it was less than 200 points. Just take a test and get 1,000 points. And this is only a thorough examination of the subject of mathematics. In the future, there will be history, Chinese, English, midterms, and finals. The host has received the extremes from the scumbags, and the mastery value is plus 50. 0.50 points. Once upon a time, the Shuaba value increased little by little, but the sudden increase of 50 points made Qin Luo bewildered. Qin Luo was stunned for a moment, and looked at the system prompt carefully, and finally he found the reason. The jealous host from the scumbag Huang Zhen has plus 38. Qin Luo's eyes lit up. He found another experience baby, Huang Zhen, Huang Zitao, Huang Zilong. And those with the surname Huang are all good people. Qin Luo's face did not change, but his heart was already overjoyed. Learning made him feel extremely happy. Class 1 of Senior 3, as the most outstanding class of Beishan No. 4 Middle School, gathers the top students of Beishan No. 4 Middle School, and each of them is a famous scholar. Among them, among the top 10 students, Class 1 of Senior Year 3 alone accounted for more than half of them. What was even more terrifying was that there were a total of 30 students in Class 1, and none of them scored lower than the top 50 in the grade. Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, like Class 7, the test papers are also distributed here. 147. Looking at the three big numbers, Huang Zitao's mouth raised a faint smile. This time, the math test is a citywide unified test, and the difficulty of the test questions is much more difficult than the usual in-class tests. Even some knowledge has already exceeded the scope of high school students, 147 points, which is almost the highest score. Huang Zitao is confident that not to mention the whole school, even in the city, he can rank in the top 10. Qin Luo. Humph, he's probably hiding in the corner and trembling now. Thinking of this, Huang Zitao was overjoyed. He seemed to have seen Qin Luo kneeling on the ground and singing Conquest. Bang bang bang. Yi Shirong, a math teacher in Class 1 of Senior 3, patted the podium heavily, causing a burst of chalk dust, but she didn't seem to hear it. Her eyes were icy around her. I'm very disappointed in this math test. Extremely disappointed. She said coldly. Disappointment. The students under the stage were all stunned. In their class, there are several grades above 140. Even if they are placed in the first middle school, they are not too bad. What's so disappointing about this? But without waiting for the students to ask questions, Yi Shirong has already answered sharply. This time, the first place in the math test is not in our class. Not in a class. Huang Zitao was stunned. With a score of 147, he is not the first. Who is it? Is it Gong Yi? It is impossible that he is powerful, but he is absolutely incomparable to himself in the field of mathematics. Huang Zitao has absolute confidence in his mathematics. Even in Beishan City, he can rank in the top 3. Could it be Qin Luo? Suddenly, Qin Luo's name appeared in his mind, but in the next second, he shook his head and threw this unrealistic thought out. Qin Luo. It's just the tale of a lucky crane. If she really won the first place, Master Ben immediately jumped off the 3rd floor. Mr. Yi, that person should be Gong Yi from the 2nd class, right? Huang Zitao couldn't help but ask aloud. Gong Yi, the top student in the 2nd class, his grandfather is a mathematics professor at Beijing Normal University, and he ranks among the top 3 in the mathematics list all the year round. Since math number 1 was not in Class 1, only Gong Yi could threaten him. Wrong. Yi Shuiqing shook his head and said in a cold voice, this time, the number 1 in mathematics is neither Class 1 nor Class 2, nor is it a rocket class in the conventional sense, but Class 7 of Senior 3, Class 7 of the 3rd year. Quiet, deadly quiet. Everyone seemed to have been pressed to pause, and all of a sudden froze in place. Class 7 of the 3rd year of high school, this is a class at the end of the crane. How can it be possible to be the first in a single subject? Impossible, absolutely impossible. After a brief silence, the classroom suddenly boiled over. Teacher, you must have remembered it wrong, right? How can a junk class like Class 7 be ranked first in a single subject? Teacher, even if you want to attack us, you should find a suitable target. I really can't be interested in Class 7. Teacher, are you kidding me? Huang Zitao asked anxiously. He had an ominous premonition in his heart, and he had a premonition that the person who ranked first in a single subject was likely to be Qin Luo. Yi Shirong's face was ashen, and her voice was extremely cold. Do you think I'm joking? Just kidding. She doesn't have the time to spare. It was like a basin of cold water, instantly dousing the enthusiasm of the students. Chapter 27. Come on, Zitao, you are the best. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The classroom fell into a strange silence once again. Gulu Huang Zitao swallowed his saliva secretly, and asked cautiously, Old teacher, that person can't be called Qin Luo, right? You know him? Yi Shirong asked. Boom. Huang Zitao's mind was buzzing, although Yi Shirong didn't call him by name, but from his words, Huang Zitao had already guessed the identity of the other party. It's really Qin Luo. This is impossible. Impossible, it's impossible. Teacher, you must have read it wrong, right? It must have been wrong. Huang Zitao asked with red eyes and a grim face. The only one in the school with a perfect score, tied for the first place in the city, do you think I'd be wrong? Yi Shirong said quietly, the difficulty of this exam is beyond the scope of high school. He is indeed a genius. Full marks. And won the school, the city's double first. There was an uproar in the audience, and many people fell directly to the ground. The difficulty of the exam questions this time is obvious to all. Some of the questions have even exceeded the scope of high school knowledge, but the other party still got full marks. When did Class 7 have such a character, so no news? Qin Luo. It sounds familiar, like the book-brushing madman in the library a few days ago. Take some time, let's go to the library and have a look. Huang Zitao, do you want to go? Hearing everyone's words, Huang Zitao's face sank like the bottom of a black pot, and his body was shivering like chaff. These words were like knives, piercing his heart. Even in his dreams, he never thought that Qin Luo would actually surpass him, and he still got a full score. Thinking of the original bet, Huang Zitao could not wait to dig a hole and bury himself. No, this matter must not be left alone, the price he wants Qin Luo to pay. But the top priority is how to avoid the bet. Mr. Yi, my stomach hurts. I need to take a few days off. Huang Zitao dropped a sentence, grabbed his school bag, and ran out of the classroom quickly. What's the situation? Yi Shirong was a little confused. For a long time, he had a good impression of Huang Zitao. Not only is his family wealthy, but he is also very smart and eager to learn. He is a natural-born scholar, but now, actually absent from class, which greatly reduced Yi Shirong's impression of him. She took out her mobile phone, called Huang Zitao's parents, and briefly explained 2 sentences before Yi Shirong began to analyze the test paper. Of course, scenes similar to the usual are being staged in each class of Beishan No. 4 middle and high school. No one thought that the first place in the maths test would be won by a crane from Class 7, the name Qin Luo instantly became the most popular word in the 3rd grade of Beishan No. 4 middle school. The anger of the scumbag, congratulations to the host for +1, +556. The crisp system prompt sounded in Qin Luo's mind, pulling Qin Luo back to the land from the ocean of knowledge. A series of +1, and suddenly a 556 pops up at the end. Qin Luo was stunned all of a sudden. He once suspected that there was a bug in the system. What's the situation? Looking at the records, Qin Luo found the reason. Huang Zitao, adding 556 points at one time. I'm afraid it's just that if you don't repay your debts. But after thinking about it carefully, Qin Luo smiled happily. The more Huang Zitao hated him, the greater the benefit to him, because this means that he can get a lot of academic hegemony value from Huang Zitao. Come on, Zitao, you are the best. Chapter 28 I'm studying Goldbach's Conjecture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Luo, get up and talk about your process of solving this problem. At this moment, Li Wei's kind words brought Qin Luo back to reality. Denote Sn as the first n terms of the arithmetic sequence, and always a1 equals -7 s3 equals -15, 1, find the general term formula of n, 2, find Sn, and find the minimum value of Sn. This is an arithmetic sequence minimum problem. The first question is relatively simple, just to find the general term formula, but the difficulty of the second question increases suddenly, not only the value, but also its minimum value. Mr. Li is creating an opportunity for me to pretend. What a once-in-a-lifetime good teacher. At this moment, in Qin Luo's eyes, Li Wei was no longer a black-faced evil spirit, but a little white flower with no sorrow and no injury. Qin Luo went to the blackboard and picked up the chalk and didn't answer immediately. He fell into deep thought. Which method should I use to force myself? 5 minutes passed. Qin Luo didn't write a word. He stood in front of the blackboard in a daze. Qin Luo. Li Wei's face was ashen, and he scolded. What are you waiting for? I'm thinking of solving it that way. Why, you still have several methods. Li Wei became interested. For arithmetic sequence, his high school knowledge covered one solution. He was very curious about what solution Qin Luo could originally come up with. Not much, just 3. The first one. Qin Luo raised his hand and wrote a capital 1 on the blackboard, then quickly began to solve the problem. Assuming the tolerance of n is d, it can be seen from the question that 3a1 plus 3d equals -15. D equals 2 from a1 equals -7. The general term formula of so, n, is n equals 2n, 9, 2, Sn equals n, 8n sad face n, for, from, 1, so when n equals 4, Sn is the minimum value, and the minimum value is -16. Second. Without stopping, Qin Luo continued to write. F, psi, asterisk, Ba, equals F, B, F, A, the minimum value is -16. The third formula if the general term is n equals 2n, 9. 1, 2, 3. The three methods yielded the same results. But each method is quite different. Quiet, deadly quiet. Of the 47 students in the entire classroom, no one spoke. It's not that they don't want to say it, it's that they have nothing to say. Qin Luo is a tyrannical mess, and even the content of the university is useful. Can they talk about it? You know, knowing is one thing, and using it flexibly is another. Qin Luo's ability to solve problems using university methods proves that he is already familiar with methods. In the last method, did you use the split-term cancellation method? After a long silence, Li Wei broke the silence in the classroom. N. Qin Luo nodded. Where did you learn it? Self-taught. Where did you learn? Li Wei asked. The split-term elimination method, which is a university content, and is slightly covered in high school elective textbooks. Lagrange's mean value theorem, and Ptolemy's theorem. Li Wei was stunned. Are you studying advanced numbers by yourself? Well, but I'm studying Goldbach's conjecture recently. With 500 Shuaba points, Qin Luo coveted him. The first second, Li Wei was elated, but the next second he was speechless as if he had eaten flies. Goldbach's conjecture is something that a high school student can study. Do you think you are Tao Zhishuan or Qiu Qingtong? Chapter 29. He said he was a genius. I want to see it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Well, even these two top mathematicians who have won the Fields Medal may not be able to study it. However, as a head teacher, he was very happy to see Qin Luolangzi turn back, because his students not only turned back, but also became a scholar from the tail of a crane, and even started to study the world-class Goldbach conjecture. Problem, this is to be encouraged. Work hard, you can always ask me if you don't understand anything. Li Wei patted Qin Luo on the shoulder and said with a serious face, I look forward to the day when your photo is hung at the school gate. And you guys, study like Qin Luo, go to the library more to enrich your campus life, don't play games all day long. Do you think you are Qin Luo and can get full marks in sleep? Everyone opened their mouths, but they were really speechless. It's Qin Luo who plays games every day, okay? Nyo has made a big deal. Zhou Lang, who was at the same table, muttered to himself with a dull gaze. He witnessed the story of a crane tail counterattack and became a schoolmaster, and he witnessed the story of his own child becoming someone else's child. Qin Luo has completely left the organization. Traitor. A blockbuster. No, a blockbuster stunned everyone. In such a stunned atmosphere, the math class ended soon. After class, Qin Luo was called to the office by Li Wei alone. It was not the first time that Qin Luo came to Li Wei's office. He had been here more than a dozen times before, and he was scolded every time. However, this time, Li Weiming didn't scold, but smiled and helped Qin Luo get a glass of water. Tell me, why did you hide yourself before? It is only an example that Rome was not built in a day, and learning was not accomplished overnight. Even a genius of genius, it is impossible to become a scholar in 3 days from the tail of a crane. Clumsy. Qin Luo's mouth twitched unnaturally. He wanted to hide, but the system didn't allow it. He hides it, but he doesn't have the value of being a scholar. Do you believe me when I say I'm a genius? Qin Luo said seriously. Oh, the kind that can cook rice? No, what I said is true. Snapped. Li Wei slapped the desk heavily, shaking the documents on the ground. Don't talk to me about these falsehoods. Get a full score and your tail is up in the sky. I'm not going to investigate the reason why you hide your clumsiness. I'll just say, don't come back to see me if you don't win one in the high school math competition. Qin Luo, high school math competition, when did he sign up? How could he not know? In the next second, Li Wei had already answered his doubts. Li Wei turned on the computer, clicked on the registration list, and Qin Luo's name was listed. I have already registered for you. In 2 weeks, Beishan No. 1 High School will be in the preliminaries. Seeing his name, Qin Luo's face suddenly darkened, for no other reason. He saw the teacher's recommendation column, the teacher's recommendation reason. He said he was a genius. I want to see it, Mr. Li, can you be casual? Selectively filtering out Qin Luo Tiqing's face, Li Wei's mouth curled into a meaningful smile. You don't have to go to the library from this evening. Qin Luo. That if he doesn't go to the library, how can he read books? The school convened the participating students for a training camp. Li Wei added, there are all geniuses in it. Chapter 30 The Incompetent Fury from the Scumbags. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Genius? Qin Luo's eyes light up. What he likes most is genius. Especially a arrogant genius like Huang Zitao. He even had a hunch that his Shuaba points would usher in an explosive growth. The foundation has been laid. Will the upgrade be far behind? Well, I'll pretend to be good. What did you say? Li Wei's mouth twitched, his face turning blue. I said, I will communicate well, thank you Mr. Li. Looking at Qin Luo's retreating back, Li Wei shook his head. He was a little unsure whether his decision was right or wrong, but why not let him go? He was unbearable. Alas, it's not easy being a bull these days. Jingle bell. When the bell rang for the last class, a large number of students rushed out. They either leaned against the window, or in 2 or 3 teams, brought basketballs, and went to the playground to sweat to their heart's content. No one was left in the classroom anyway. Of course, Qin Luo must be put aside here. At this time, Qin Luo is pulling out a copy of Advanced Algebra from the drawer to practice and score. After all, tonight is going to instruct all kinds of academic masters, and the necessary preparations are still needed. Advanced Algebra. At this moment, a dull voice sounded behind him. Huang Zhen, the representative of the mathematics class, the top student in the class, but he has already lost the throne. Are you also interested? Qin Luo said with a grin. Well, I'm watching too. Huang Zhen said in a deep voice. We're already in the 3rd year of high school, and it won't be long before we take the college entrance examination. It's still necessary to preview Gaodai. Qin Luo said with a smile, if you don't understand anything, you can ask me. If possible, Huang Zhen would like to strangle Qin Luo to death. Did he mean this? His instructions simply tested how much Qin Luo had learned. There is no point in asking for advice, you can't be so affectionate as a human being. Mr. Li should have told you about the high school math competition. Huang Zhen asked. N. Qin Luo replied while turning the page. I'll be there too. Kindness. Huang Zhen is about to go crazy, and his words are not straightforward enough. How could Qin Luo not understand? I'm looking forward to fighting with you. With a cold snort, Huang Zhen turned his head and left. After staying with Qin Luo, he was afraid that he would go crazy. The incompetent rage from the scumbag, the host's mastery value +10. Qin Luo raised his head silently, his eyes flashing brightly. There are 3 yellows in one family, and every yellow is a good person. After dinner, Qin Luo came to the comprehensive classroom with a generation of milk tea. Apart from Qin Luo himself, there are already 10 students in the classroom. They are the strongest in mathematics in Beishan No. 4 Middle School. They come from different grades and classes. They are the strongest in mathematics in Beishan No. 4 Middle School. Top level, this is 10 experienced babies. Qin Luo is trendy, and he is eager to have a heart-to-heart exchange with everyone. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eyes, he saw 2 familiar figures, Lin Shanshan and Huang Zhen. It seems that the strength of this team is not high. Qin Luo thought to himself. You are Qin Luo. Just when Qin Luo was stunned, a burly fat man had an idea for him. I am. Qin Luo nodded. My name is Gong Yi, I'm the captain of this team, and I'm from Class 2 of Senior 3, said Gong Yi, extending his right hand. The unexpected enthusiasm made Qin Luo a little confused, but he still reached out and shook hands with Gong Yi.